Hi out there. This is Heather Vickery, and you've tuned in to the Brave Files podcast. I'm so glad to have you here with us. Hey, listen, it's time to take stock of your life, to think about what doesn't fit anymore, and how you can make the changes you want and make them with integrity. This week's guest is a woman named Jen Josey, and she is no stranger to metamorphosis. Jen talks about what it's like to push through the naysayers, believe in your strengths, and create supportive communities so that you can live the life you really want to live. This was such a fun conversation to have. Jen lights it up in every possible way. We had a blast together. Some key moments to look for include discovering when it's too late to make a change. Here's a hint: it's never actually too late. Judgment doesn't take us anywhere useful, and the things that you're scared of are probably not really that scary. So figure out how to work through that fear. We also dig in on the fact that who you hang out with and spend your time with makes a very big difference in your life, and hot damn how important it is to have strong accountability relationships. This is a good one, y'all. It is a lot of fun, so let's get to it.
Prolific, badassery, and integrity.
This is Heather Vickery, and you're listening to The Brave Files, stories from people living courageously. When we choose bravely in big and small ways, it powerfully elevates our lives. I hope these stories connect with you and encourage you to embrace bravery in every possible way, day after day. Together, we can build a movement of courageous living that enriches both our lives and our communities. And if you enjoy the show, I ask you to please share it with others. Maybe think of someone who you want to choose bravely right alongside you. Thanks for tuning in. Now here's the show. Hey everybody, I am so happy to have you here with me today, and I'm really excited to introduce you all to Jen Josey. Anybody who uses the word badassery is a winner in my book. I am totally sold. Before we've even started the conversation, Jen, welcome to the Brave Files.
Thanks for having me, Heather. I'm so excited.
I'm excited to have you here as well. We're going to talk today about what it's like to do really hard, really brave things without a whole lot of support. So you have really transformed your life in a couple of different ways. It's kind of been a defining theme for you, is this redefining, and you really did it on your own without, and I'm a big fan of support and delegation, and I'm guessing maybe you found ways to get that. So we're going to dig in on that a little bit, but tell folks a little bit about who you are and what your journey's been so far.
Wonderful. So my very first passion in life was teaching middle school music. And that's why I asked you if you were a vocalist, because I can hear it in your voice. I taught chorus for 16 years at the middle school level and musical theater, by the way. And I'm not a vocalist, but I hear it in your voice and it's lovely. So I taught middle school chorus for 16 years and then woke up one day, realized I hated children. No offense. I know you have 3.
I have 4, and that's hilarious.
You have 4. Okay. I must have listened to an old podcast or something, but I wanted out so desperately at that time. So I joined an equally abusive industry and I became a health insurance agent.
Oh, yeah.
So I know. Yes. I quickly climbed the corporate ladder and for the next 5 years after that, and realized I was climbing up the wrong ladder. So unlike my first profession, which was, my passion for teaching, here I was running the hamster wheel of corporate America and didn't feel like I was making the difference in anyone's life. And what was worse is that I was just a number to these people. And I saw way too many coworkers get fired and quickly replaced. And I was just wondering when it was going to be my turn. So when I was about 40-ish and completely unhappy, I just knew I needed a change.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that, 40-ish and completely unhappy.
Yes.
It just reminds me and everyone that you're never too old. It's never too late. And not that 40-ish, I'm 40-ish too. 40-ish is not old, but we often think, oh, well, it's too late for me. And it's not too late. So you were 40-ish and you were like, I'm just going to upend all of this. I like to say I burned it all to the ground. I was almost 40. I was like, I'm just going to burn it all to the ground. And so what was your brave choice? What did you decide to transform into, and how did you go about it?
So I was up late one night, just watching TV, and this infomercial came on with one of those real estate gurus. And my husband and I recorded it for him actually. And I was like, we should go check this out. Cause you know how you have the armchair quarterbacks and they're watching football and everything. Yeah. Well, we were like the couch critics. We could redecorate anybody's home. We were junkies for HGTV and everything. So
same here.
yes. And while I loved the thought of becoming the next Joanna Gaines, what I really wanted was to be in control of my financial security, because I was, I'd seen, friend after friend get let go. So we went to the seminar and we joined. We paid a buttload of money. And, like many of your listeners, I'm sure they were raised to go to school, work hard, get a job, work for the man and keep the man happy. And so that one day you can retire, so that you can take your old bones on that European castle tour down the river. What is the river cruise thing? Yeah. It's on my list. I want to be old and float down a river. So I made the decision right then and there. It's that life-changing decision where, like the moment before and then the moment after. And I chose to be in control of my own prosperity. And prosperity to me was just, could it be, making a lot of money, but also doing what I want to do. So that to me, and to be happy. So one of my words was prolific. And so my husband and I, we our backyard, we call it the Joasis. Our last name is Josey. We call it the Joasis. We have the Josebo. We have the ring around the Josie. We have a little sandbox for our dog. We call it the Josie Shore. So yes. And so when we were going through all this educational stuff, I saw the quote, "The acorn lies within the oak." And so it's all about growth and everything. So we call our business Jolific Homes, which is Josie plus prolific, because we're all about growth. And then about 8 months after we started that business, I was able to quit my corporate America job. And a few months later, we created Jolific Properties, where we were building our rental portfolio. And then we created the Acorn Agency. So going back to the...
Nice.
Yes.
I like that tie-in.
Yes. And then Raleigh is the city of Oaks. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. We're very proud of our community. So we're tied it all in, and we have a very investor-friendly agency. So throughout all of this, what was brave to me is that my family members and friends were like, you paid what? Do you even know how to run a business? Why on earth would you quit a perfectly acceptable career? I was telling you earlier, my favorite one was, "Since when did you become a realtor?" I've never been a realtor. So that just tells you these people don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I was like, oh my gosh. And I was joined this coaching program and was telling my coach, I'm like, I'm having second thoughts. We just paid all this money. And he gave me this quote, and it's entrepreneurship. I'm reading this from my computer, excuse me. But entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't, so you can live the rest of your life like most people can't. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. I got to work my ass off. I get it. Yes, coach. And he's like, no. I want you to think about the most people. And so I reread it. Entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people. And I thought, who are my most people? And for me, most people were friends and family that I know they won't ever support my decision to better my life. I think it's because they are projecting their fear of the risk.
Sure.
And, they're too afraid of what lies on the other side of fear. And the easiest one for them was that they rather judge me for accomplishing something that they never had the courage to do. So that was huge for me. Yes.
You said something that really resonates with me. This concept of being judgmental and of judging, it is so deeply rooted in fear of the unknown, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to sit up here and try to say that there aren't some times where I judge, because we're all human, and on occasion we do. But I have really learned in my life and through my business as a coach and through this show to understand that we cannot begin to imagine somebody else's lived experience. And so judging just doesn't it doesn't take us anywhere healthy or anywhere useful. And of course, I'm a big fan of doing the scary thing, because the scariest part of the scary thing is thinking about how scary it is.
Right. Absolutely.
So you don't really strike me as the kind of person who, when your family members said, you're going to do what? Why would you do that? You've got a good paying career and everything is stable. Those folks, those play it safe folks who were like, don't rock the boat. Man, all they do is exist. And it kind of crushes my soul, because I have never wanted to just exist. I have always wanted to live big. And I believe we're all intended to live big. Was there any part of you that thought, well, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Did you second guess yourself at all?
Always. For a long time I did. And, I read somewhere at some point throughout all this, because I kept hearing this negativity in my head, and, people around me kept throwing these little nuggets out at me just to, and really second guess myself. And so someone said, you need to surround yourself with the people who are only going to lift you higher, who are going to support your beliefs.
Yeah.
And so I started doing that. And I realized I got really sensitive to any time they threw out their bullshit and was just like, are you sure you want to quit your job? And, did you get an inspection on that house before you bought it? Like just random stuff. And I'm like, I know what I'm doing. So it's just, I got really sensitive to it. And, the sad part is I had to really remove some toxic people from my life, whether they're friends and maybe a family member too. But yes, it was just, you get very sensitive to it. And then all you want to do is be positive. And when they're like pulling you back down, it's their own insecurities.
Absolutely. So, we, as a human race, rise or fall to the level of the people we choose to spend our time with.
Yes.
And that is one of the reasons, if not the most important reason, to be very aware of who you are hanging out with. I saw Barack Obama keynote speak at a conference last year, and he said something that I thought was so profound and so prolific, to use your word. He said, I like to make sure I am the least smart person in the room. Now, I'm going to go on record as saying I think Barack Obama is very, very smart.
Yes.
And I'm a fan. I think that's pretty evident. But this man, who was the president of the United States, and a really, really outstanding one, wanted to always be the least smart person in the room, because he knew that he could learn and grow from everyone else. And he said, my job wasn't to know everything. It wasn't to have all the answers. It was to know who had the answers and to put those people in the right jobs.
Absolutely. And don't you just miss class?
You don't even know. So much.
All right.
So much. I know.
I knew when I saw you on Facebook, I'm like, oh, we are immediate friends.
We bonded in advance over our desire for positive growth and change.
Yes.
So, all right. So you questioned yourself, but you kept pushing through. It sounds like you're somebody who's always had deep resilience and grit, which is something that I know is a key indicator in success and growth. As you were doing this, first of all, I think it would be so fun to flip houses. I'm totally into it. And here's my question. How do you really get the money to do that? I mean, I know we take out loans and things like that, but I'm like, no bank is going to just give a random person a loan to buy a house and then flip it. So how do you do that? That's totally irrelevant to the Brave story, but I'm really curious.
It's a great question. I never use my own money.
Okay.
Never, ever, ever. So we use, there's specific banks called hard money lenders where they will lend to you at a higher percentage rate as a typical one, because the loan is only going to be, say,
short
6
term
months to a year. Yes, short term. Or private money lenders. And when I got into this, I realized that I could be a private money lender. I never thought, but I had 2 401ks. I actually had a 401(b) from teaching, and then a 401k from when I worked in the health insurance industry. And, here I put it into what's called a self-directed IRA. And from there, I choose where to invest my money. It doesn't necessarily go into the stock market. I can put in the stock market if I want, but I choose where to put it. And so you have this little pot of money, which is your retirement account. And when we did it, you can't lend to yourself. So when you are working with other investors, we lend to each other.
Okay.
to start off there. And so in North Carolina, and the rates are different everywhere, but we do between 10 and 12% typically for private money lenders.
Okay.
So if you have a savings account, you can, you're earning less than 1% of your money sitting there. Lend it out. Your name, when you lend money as a private money lender, it goes onto the deed of the property. So if anything happens when it sells, you are the very first person to make money. You go on the insurance policy. So you're still going to get your money back. Nothing is ever 100% guaranteed in life. We all know that, but this is something where you have a tangible item to back up your money. So that I did not realize it. And I had money sitting at 403B for 10 effing years, not making a damn penny. And in the 10 years where it sat there, I could have doubled it. So it was just something that I didn't know. There's other things like you can lend out of your HSA. You can get a HELOC, a home equity line of credit against your personal home.
Yeah.
And you pay 5% on that, lend it out for 12%. You're making money off that and it can go right back in. So, there's tons of ways. So that's how we fund properties. And we do a very extensive, we paid tens of thousands of dollars for our education program. So they gave us all these tools on how to do it. So we had a very solid education, which is key because you want to make sure you're evaluating the proper property, et cetera. Well, I could talk forever.
No, but that's really an important, we talk about these things so flippantly, like, oh, it's just a thing that I did. And I actually had a listener the other day say to me, it always sounds great. By the time they're on your podcast, folks are talking about how it's working so wonderfully and not the failures and the challenges. And I would love to hear what yours have been, but I want to tell people we are not encouraging you to jump into anything crazy without knowing what you're getting into, without asking the right questions, without having the right training. At some point, I'm all like, okay, go on, little duckling, move, stop being scared, but do your freaking work first. Know what you're getting yourself into. So has this ever completely backfired on you?
It honestly hasn't. So we have, we've been close where we were almost in the red on a property. It didn't sell right away. We thought we were going to make about $25,000 on it. But it sat on the market longer. So we had to pay them more interest. And, probably 6 months later, it finally sold. And so that property, we only made $2,500 for
But
a long
you didn't
time.
Lose money. So it could be worse.
We didn't lose money.
Yeah.
Correct. And if it's a situation where, we owe those people, that money, we can't close on the property until we pay off the loan. So we would lose money in that situation. But, you like you said, you get the education, you make sure you are doing your numbers correctly. And, then it gets, pretty solid from there.
So completely switching industries 3 times and then starting this business, which I think is brave and fun and cool. And I mean, you're right. We're all not all of us, but most people I know are super into HGTV. They're like, I want to be Christina on the coast, whatever.
It's nothing like those shows, by the way. You get there and you think it's going to be, I'm going to vomit shiplap everywhere. And it never happens. You do what sells the quickest. And, so you're like, okay, brush nickel again, so it's just, it's not as exciting because you want to sell it. If you get really distinctive in your designs and everything, you have to have a very distinctive buyer. So it's not as romantic as they make it out on.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. That makes perfect sense to me. But what's been the biggest challenge for you in all of this?
So one of my challenges was, I taught for 16 years. I was on a bell schedule. And then I was in corporate America where I had a Nazi manager who would, the second year, your Skype went from green to yellow. She's like, where are you? What are you doing? And I'm like, ugh. So you constantly wiggling your mouse and everything just to look active. So for me, accountability was a huge issue. And when I first quit corporate America, I'm like, I'm turning my alarm off. And then some people were like, you need to set it for even earlier.
Yeah, you don't get to for a minute, take a break, take a day or two, and then make a plan and get in action.
So I was totally overwhelmed and just like it was way too much freedom for me at first. And so that was one of the biggest issues. And so I created an accountability group, and we would meet every other week and, set our goals and do stuff like that. So, and then that kind of expanded into my coaching stuff that I do. Just being accountable is most important. And then making
Huge.
sure someone's watching my ass too.
Accountability is something that I speak and train and coach on a regular basis, and all of the different ways that we can be accountable. I don't like to use the words should, need, have to, because I think they're all bullshit, and mindset matters and the words you use matter. But really, my clients are going to kill me. You should find a bunch of different ways to hold yourself accountable, because that's really the only, it would be nice if we could just hold our own feet to the fire and push ourselves through. And it just doesn't work like that. So what are the different accountability systems you have in place?
So I have my accountability group, and then I created to back up a little bit. So I was very passionate about teaching for a long time. And then I was in health insurance. And, when I got into health insurance, I did some of the one-on-one where, Obamacare had just come out, and the Affordable Care Act. And so people were learning everything, and people who had pre-existing conditions had never been able to get affordable healthcare. So that was so rewarding. But then as I, climbed up the corporate ladder, I was in large group sales. I just lost all that, blah, blah, blah. So and I was just miserable. So about a year after we started our renovation business, someone asked us, my husband and I, to present a past project at a meeting in front of about 40, 50 other investors. And I was like, me? I'm like, I'm not an expert. And they're like, just do it, just go over one project. And so when I went up there, like my soul became alive again.
Oh,
so
I love it. I love being on a stage. I love it.
And it was just like, it immediately built credibility and confidence. And it was just one of those things where I'm like, I really need to do more of this. And then it got to the point where I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? So I was going to conferences, and this is where my word badassery comes into play, because I'm like, I know I'm good at influencing people and doing things, but who am I? I'm certainly not an expert. I am always constantly, getting educated, working with coaches. I have spent thousands of dollars on coaching. And so that's where, it got to a point where I'm like, you know what? It just clicked one day. I'm like, people need my badassery.
Yes.
That was it. I just woke up one day. I was like, that's it. And so I then we're going back to the accountability portion. I created an online mastermind where I took some of these tools. I took a Tony Robbins course for KBB I became a knowledge business broker, and then I was able to just kind of be the connector between everyone and get that going. So for me, I was constantly learning from everybody else, because the mastermind format, I was just connecting.
I love that. Mm-hmm.
I wasn't teaching. I was just giving them the tools that I was taught. I took a Jack Canfield course. I'm a Jack Canfield certified trainer for his success principles, who I love, from Chicken Soup for the Soul books, and The Secret. And I started using some of his stuff in this, 4-week deep dive. And then, so the different aspects of it is, the 4-week deep dive, the mastermind. Then the second part is that it's for a platform for people to share their superpowers. So, when I was doing my little presentation a year in and realized, I love this, it's building credibility, I wanted to, provide a platform for people to do the same. So, that's the second part. The third part is the accountability. So every day or every week in our Facebook group, we do a Monday morning goal call. And I think I listened to one of your podcasts where you're talking about the daily 3. Was that?
Commit to 3. Absolutely. To 3. I'm a big fan. Yeah.
I actually put it on my phone.
Awesome.
And I try to get my husband to do it. So, we do Monday morning, give me your number one goal for the week. When you announce it to a group, you have a much higher chance of achieving it. Thursday, we just do a little goal check. How y'all doing? Are you almost there? Oh, what was my goal again?
Mm-hmm.
And then on Sunday, we do a goal poll to see who achieved their goal that week. And then the last part of what my coaching group is that it's a network. We're throughout the country, and it's just kind of a, safe place for people to ask questions and, to find accountability partners, et cetera. So
I love that. Now, your group is it other investors, real estate investors?
So I do not teach people how to invest in real estate. I have real estate investors get together and work
Okay.
on mindset,
Yep.
work on business strategies, things like that.
Yeah, I love it. So much of the stuff that you talked about, we do. So my membership program is called Intentionally Brave Entrepreneurs. And we really work with folks who have been in the workforce for quite some time. And I do coach and I train, but also that layer of we mastermind and accountability and continuous check-in and celebration and all of those things that you mentioned. To me, those are what take us from playing small and living this rote, repetitive life to thinking bigger and getting uncomfortable and making big, brave choices. Because A, we have a cheerleading squad behind us, and B, we can look at things from a completely new perspective. So I love that you're doing that. Everybody should be in a program like that.
Absolutely. And it's about me too. Like I
Yeah,
want to learn from everybody else.
for
So
sure.
I get so much out of it. So I'm pretty, it's all about me.
I,
Yes.
I love it. So one of the things I just touched on that I believe is incredibly important. All the stuff we're talking about, a lot of it is connection, emotional intelligence, all of that. But to me, celebration/gratitude are cornerstones of having a healthy life, having a healthy business, all of that stuff. So how do you like to celebrate success, big and small?
It can be as little as buying a pair of shoes. I have
Sure.
a bit of a problem.
Isn't COVID killing you for the shoe collection?
So like, I struggle with my weight. I go up and down, but shoes and earrings will always fit. So,
Right?
yeah, I was telling you earlier, I just bought a house and I just designed my closet and there's a whole section for my shoes.
Awesome.
So it's
Awesome.
pretty obnoxious and I'm proud of it. All the way to traveling somewhere. We have, a short-term rental that we rent out and then it's in the mountains and outside of Boone. So it's just giving ourselves a break and, going out there, taking our dogs and doing the thing.
Yeah, I love that. Within your mastermind, your group, I wonder if you may not even know right now that it's already a celebration, but do you have any celebration systems built in, like where people can shout out their wins and all of that? Because to me, that's a wonderful form of celebration.
Yes. So we do. So in the 4-week deep dive, we always start with celebrate your wins, and we want
Love
to
it.
hear what's happened that week. But then a step further is when we do so once you do your 4-week deep dive, you're in this Facebook group and, you can do another 4-week deep dive later on because it changes all the time. But then the weekly, goal poll on Sunday, everyone cheers everybody on. It's like
I
my
love
goal was
that.
to get a property under contract this week. And oh my gosh, I got 2 properties and I'm so excited,
Yes.
so this is big cheerleading thing. And then we do about every 5 weeks. I don't like to do a monthly, like 5 to 6 weeks. We do all the RAIN members are welcome to go. We encourage drinks and it's an evening call and we do celebrate our wins. We, talk about some things in there. So it's a great cheerleading system, like you said.
Yeah,
And,
I
sometimes we
love
just
that.
need that because like I said in the beginning, we're not getting it from our families or our friends. And, but these people, they become your family and they're there to
Absolutely.
cheer you on. Yes.
Do you find I find this. So do you also find that cheerleading, that celebration begets more celebration? Like the more you get on that momentum train, the more there is to celebrate?
Yes, absolutely. And they can't wait to go to live events, even though, we're spread out over the country, at some point we would like to, do a day-long event somewhere and, things like that. So it's like, when are we going to celebrate this? When are we, do this? And, they celebrate their education, their superpowers, whatever they're teaching that week or whatever. So it is a very supportive community.
I love it. And I love that you've mentioned superpowers a couple of times. Whenever I do a live workshop, we always start by talking about our superpowers. And I would love to know what your superpower is.
So I think my superpower, and this is my third word actually, is my integrity.
Mm,
And it's twofold in our business and then in my coaching. So in our business, when we first started, another negative aspect is nobody likes a house flipper. We're have an area.
That's true.
And they're like, ugh, they just want to steal my money. You have these bad reps and, you have all the bandit signs everywhere, et cetera. But like a major issue is gentrification. And I did not want to be one of those people who are pushing families out of neighborhoods because they can't afford taxes.
Yeah.
So our integrity is we always try to do what's best for our clients and also for our team members. So if we have someone working for us and, I know if they're struggling financially, we may be able to help them out, give them some more jobs, pimp them out to people. I say pimp them out to people all the time. And then my integrity is also in my coaching. So I started this because of one of those big real estate gurus I saw on TV, and a lot of coaches want to duplicate that, and they're only after money signs. And so for me, my integrity is that I'm always going to want to coach with integrity. And I may be scraping it together now. We're doing well in our renovation business, and our rental business. But for this, I know if I keep building it, it will come. I like to form a teacher. I'm used to being broke, so it's perfectly fine. Yes. And for me to know that I'm providing tons of content for people. And, then I created this podcast, and I have a podcast now, and, where I started, where I was just reading my blogs, and, so I just wanted to keep that integrity going, and that someday it'll start, people will be like, let me give her money for this, or, and start building what I sell or whatever. So
I love that. What's the name of your podcast?
It's really simple. It's the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast.
All right. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's cut and dry. Somebody's looking for it. They'll know right what to get. What I love about what you said, and it's funny, I've had a lot of conversations recently with folks who are taking things that have been traditionally known to be one way, AKA kind of slimy, kind of gross, real estate flipping. We just did an interview with somebody who is a headhunter or, all sorts of things, and reinventing them in a way that we're like reclaiming this, and it doesn't have to be gross. And I love that you're like, look, I can be in the flipping business and not screw people over,
right,
and support and grow communities. How easy or hard has that been for you? And have you had any pushback on that? And maybe share one really lovely surprise story.
I have a very lovely surprise story that just happened recently. So we have our Facebook ads for our, flipping business. And this gentleman just reached out, and something with his family going on with the hurricane that just went through Texas. I think the first round, and I think they got hit a second round. Okay. And so he desperately needed to get out of his house and get back to his family. And he's like, I just need my mortgage paid off, and I got to be there in 2 weeks. And so we were able to do that for him. And then the property itself is in an area that we don't really do a lot of renovations. It's a little lower socioeconomic. So we were not going to renovate this property. We went in, we cleaned it out. The guy literally took his clothes. He left all of his furniture, everything, the cat litter pan.
Oh boy.
I know. And so I paid, one of our guys who I knew needed some extra money. And he's a landscaper. I said, can I pay you to clean out this property? And I'll pay you $1,200 to do it. And so he was like, absolutely. Cause he needed the cash flow. So, he went in. There was 2 dumpsters, and it was an 800 square foot home. It's tiny.
Wow.
Yeah. So we just fixed it up. Then I sent my painters in there just to put fresh paint on it, but we kept it affordable. I didn't over renovate this place. I didn't go in and put all new cabinets or all new flooring or anything like that. And then, we sold it. We bought it for $58,000, which is, unheard of in some places. Mm-hmm. And then we ended up selling it for like 72.
Okay.
So it wasn't, and it was like literally, I was in Mexico when we bought it, and then my guy went to clean it out. My painters by the time I got back, I stuck the for sale sign, and then it was sold. So it was literally like 0 time to do that. We kept it affordable. We did not want a investor to buy it, to flip it. So
because you didn't really flip it, you just cleaned it up.
Yeah, we just cleaned up
and you helped somebody get out of a bad situation.
Correct. So
Yeah.
a single lady bought it, and she's moving in there. It's her own personal home now. It's got a space in the back where she can actually put a second house eventually, because it's
Wow.
a huge lot and that backs up to another street. So it's definitely a great opportunity for her. And then on the other side, we will flip properties where there's a neighborhood where they have these tiny cottages, but families want to move in there. We just did a property near Duke, and they families definitely want to be closer there, and a lot of professors and things like that. So we popped the top and made it a 2-bedroom house into a 4-bedroom house, but that's what that neighborhood was, needing. So I bought it off the MLS. I made sure Miss Mary, who we bought it from, got her money. So it wasn't like we were trying to get everyone, to be slimy about it. So
Yeah.
that's a huge part of integrity. And a lot of times when we're talking to people about potentially buying their home, I'll say, you know what, you're going to be better off listing your property. Let me refer you to a realtor, which
I love that.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, so we're keeping our realtor friends busy. You know what? All you need to do is replace the carpet. Here's my carpet guy. It's a mom and pop organization. He's happy. And then when I need him in 3 months, he's like, hell yeah, Jen, I'll be there right away. So I'm helping other people out in the community. So integrity is just huge in our company. And I see so many people cut corners and then just, they're not around in a year. So yeah.
I love so much about that. Again, and this theme keeps coming back, this idea of we're not trying to sell, we're trying to service. We're making connections, we're communicating, we're connecting with people, we're leading with integrity, but honesty and authenticity and compassion. And I really have seen an enormously drastic shift in that direction. Not just since the pandemic. In the last, I think, couple of years, businesses are revamping to really make that emotional intelligence piece the center, and it gives me a lot of hope.
I hope so.
Yeah,
that's where we need to be.
Yeah, I agree. So we're almost out of time, but I have to ask you a question, which I actually didn't even prep you for. Sorry, Jen.
I know what it is.
Because you've been listening to the show.
I have.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. I'm impressed. Yeah. So, but it's a great timing to do that because it fits in really nicely with what we've just been talking about. So what's your favorite charitable organization to support?
So I really like the SPCA, not the ASPCA, and that's Society Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. So I know you have four girls?
I do have 4 girls.
Okay, 4 girls. So I have 8 children. I have 4 feathered and 4 furry. And so I have 4 chickens as well, 2 cats, 2 dogs. And so the SPCA is or the Humane Society of that sort. And I give my money to them, but I will typically get my own pets. I will adopt from high kill shelters, but I give my money to those places because a lot of times they will take the animals from the high kill shelter, et cetera. But, and they treat their pets very well. So there's, a need for some pet beds and some pet food and some surgeries and stuff out there. So, mine is the Wake County SPCA.
Awesome. I love it. Y'all, every week I ask you to please get to know this organization. They're going to be our charity of the week. We're going to give them some love and some props. And we want to make sure that, you all are learning about them or are an organization like theirs in your own community, and do what you can because we are only as successful as we can lift each other up to be. We have to be in this together. I love it. Jen, will you share your 3 words with us one last time?
Prolific, badassery, and integrity.
That's awesome. I think we touched on all of those and it's great and I love it. Thank you so much for being here.
Heather, you are awesome. I'm so impressed with you and I'm so grateful we had the opportunity to meet. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak with you today.
Absolutely a pleasure. So listeners, listen, I want you to now look at all of the things that you're doing in your life. First of all, figure out what doesn't fit anymore and screw anybody who tells you you have to stay there. Make the changes that you want to make. And also, how can you do it with integrity? How can you do it in a prolific way that will make an impact, but still really be meaningful and important? So you're called upon to do that. Doesn't have to be big things. I'm not telling you have to go out and upend everything, but I am betting there is one thing in your life that if you just pushed a little harder or thought about a little more creatively, you can do this for yourself and for your community and your loved ones. And I want to hear all about it. So give me a call at 312-646-0205 and tell me how you're out there choosing bravely and leading your life with integrity and doing all this really awesome stuff. I am so happy to have you here with me. It's Heather Vickery reminding you today and every single day to go out and choose bravely. Hey friends, I want to share something really exciting with you. We already know you enjoy listening to podcasts because you're listening to this one, but I'm also betting you enjoy audiobooks. And hey, listen, if you don't already enjoy audiobooks, then it's time to check them out. That's why I'm really excited to share Libro.fm with you. They are an incredible new platform for listening to audiobooks. And by choosing Libro.fm over other audiobook services, you are supporting a local bookstore of your choice and investing in your local community. Libro.fm offers over 150,000 audiobooks via their primary platform, which, by the way, they built with love and from scratch because they're a small business also. They even offer bookseller recommendations for great audiobook options. You can sign up right now via www.vickeryandco.com/LibroFM. That's vickeryandco.com/LIBROFM. And when you do, you'll get one free audiobook of your choice, and the proceeds will go to your favorite local bookstore. Now, check what I just said there. You're going to get a free book, and the proceeds are still going to go to your local bookstore because Libro.fm makes sure that their booksellers get paid even when they give a promo to customers. I've listened to over 20 audiobooks this year alone. I especially love listening to memoirs read by the author, and it feels great knowing that all of my purchases support my local bookstore, The Book Table, in Oak Park, Illinois. Libro.fm. The same audiobooks, the same price, but a completely different story. Check them out right now at vickeryandco.com/LibroFM. Have you ever thought about starting a podcast? Maybe you've had this thought and then quickly shut it down because who has the time? Or you don't know how, or gosh, it just all seems too hard. If you have something to share with the world, we want to encourage you to get your message out. The world needs to hear it. Did you know that 50% of all homes are podcast fans? If you've ever wondered about having your own podcast or how it can increase your business or get your message across, then please join me and the other experts from the Podcast Power Academy for our monthly free Q&A session. It's called So You Want to Start a Podcast? This casual live conversation will help you understand how podcasting can be a great decision, why now is the best time to get started, and how to get into action with it. Visit podcastpoweracademy.com to learn more. You've been listening to The Brave Files, stories of people living courageously. To learn more about the show, find our show notes and full episode transcripts, or to get some great bonus content, visit thebravefilespodcast.com. And we would love to know what you think of the show. You can give us a call at 312-646-0205. Let us know your thoughts on the episode, the show in general, or maybe share with us how you're out choosing bravely. This episode is brought to you by Vickery & Co. Success Coaching. Coaching that helps you maintain a life well lived and a business well run. Learn more at vickeryandco.com. Our music was created and produced in a custom collaboration with Matt Lewis from ML Creative Consulting, a boutique firm dedicated to helping clients identify their unique sound and amplify their brand with custom delivered soundtracks. We couldn't do any of this without our extraordinary audio engineer, Andrew Olson. Learn more about him and check out his work at findandrewolson.com. And special thanks to everyone on Team Brave, from our producers, associate producers, copy editors, writers, and support team. Special thanks to Molly, Mary, Kim, Sabra, and Sabrina. I'm your host and executive producer, Heather Vickery. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.